Some people have been asking me in the comments sections things about becoming a real estate agent here in Florida, and I figured this would be an appropriate video for me to make considering number one, I am a real estate agent here in Florida and I have been for over 11 years now, but also because I've been making so many other videos about moving to Florida and living in Florida, and I would imagine at least some of you out there might be wondering how much money real estate agents here in Florida actually make. And the answer might surprise you, so stick around because I have some interesting information to share with you on this. So the NAR, which stands for the National Association of Realtors, they just came out with a study from the year 2019 about a ton of different statistical data regarding realtors, and in this study they show all of the different data regarding realtors across the country versus how it stacks up against realtors in Florida. They have a ton of different stats in this report, and I'll put a link for it down below if you guys actually want to look it all over yourself and look at all the data that has to offer. They offer a lot of other data points too besides the income. They talk about like how many realtors use social media and what kind of personal assistants they have, do they use drones for photography, like all these different things that to me are sort of irrelevant, but I guess interesting to know if you're looking to get into the real estate business. And this will give you a good idea of what other realtors are doing, how successful they are, and what you're up against competition-wise, reality. So let's dive into this. Before I get into all of the exact numbers that are in this report, I just want to tell you that I'm not going to dive into my exact income. That's like a private thing. I don't really feel like disclosing that in this video. Maybe at a later date I might, but in this video I'm not going to do that. Let's just say I'm not Graham Stephan and I'm not selling $10 million, $15 million Hollywood mansions down here, okay? So yeah, some of this data kind of applies to me too. According to this study, and I guess the numbers are delayed, this is data from 2018. It takes them a long time to come up with all of this because this is the closest we have to the most recent data. The data itself is actually from 2018, but this study was conducted in 2019, probably because they needed all of 2018's data to do this, and it takes forever to put together a comprehensive study like this. The median gross income for realtors across the country in the United States in 2018 was $41,800. Doesn't sound too good, huh? That might sound good for some people, but I know a lot of people make way more money than that. Even most of my own clients that I've dealt with here make more than that. Now, if you're a real estate agent in Florida, that number gets even more disappointing. The average realtor in 2018 in Florida made only $32,780. And that's for the year, guys. If you break that down, that's less than $3,000 per month. It's not a lot of money. And I can personally tell you, I have had years that were that bad, and some even worse when I first started my real estate career 11 years ago. There's like this misconception. People see those $1 million listing shows on TV and they think that everybody's here just selling all these mansions and making all of this money. That's like a very, very, very small percent of real estate agents that actually get those listings and get those sales. And after all of this time in this business, I really think it comes down to just a couple things. And here is my opinion on this, on how, if you want to get those $1 million listings, how you might want to make that happen. And it comes down to how many people you're willing to schmooze with on a daily basis. I'm talking going to networking events, meeting clients for lunch and coffee and paying the bill. And, just spending all of your waking hours basically just being on the phone, talking to people, communicating with everyone that you possibly know, and always trying to meet new people, telling everyone in the world you're a realtor, handing everyone your business card, and all of those kind of things. If you're not willing to do that, then you are probably never going to be one of those $1 million listing realtors. I can tell you that right now. And that's been part of the reason why I haven't had a lot of success in the real estate business over the years. Yeah, sure, I've been able to put food on the table, and I've been able to save enough money to buy a couple investment properties and things like that. But by no means has it made me rich. It didn't turn me into a millionaire. In fact, if anything's going to turn me into a millionaire, it's probably going to be this YouTube channel, not real estate. But one thing I would like to dive into is, number one, why I think this number is so low, why real estate agents don't make that much money here. And the other thing is, how can you be different? According to FloridaRealtors.org, which is the official real estate website for Florida Realtors, there are about 195,000 licensed real estate agents in Florida as of today. And man, that number is huge because, first of all, let me tell you, just in Miami, we're talking about 45,000 of those people are just here in Miami, and the rest of them are spread out throughout the rest of the entire state. So there are a lot of real estate agents here in Florida, guys, which means you have a lot of competition. And since real estate is a face-to-face business and it's a personal relationships business, what ends up happening is that you can be the best realtor in the world, and all of my clients have kind of told me this in a way, and you can look me up online and see the reviews and all the things that people have said about me. They all have nothing but great things to say about me. But some of those same people have actually stabbed me in the back at some point and ended up doing a real estate deal with their sister because she just married this guy and he's a real estate agent, or his brother's a real estate agent, or whatever, okay? So client loyalty these days is pretty much out the window, and when you combine that with the fact that there's just so many real estate agents to compete with, it's very hard to make a living at this down here. And I know that in other states it's probably a lot easier to make a living as a real estate agent because there's just not as many of them. And the typical characteristic of who is a realtor here in Florida, according to this report, is a 54-year-old white woman who attended college and is a homeowner. This is your typical average realtor here in Florida. Obviously, there's all different kinds of people who make up realtors. I'm a 33-year-old white male, so I don't fit that profile at all. That's who you're looking at, who's like the typical Florida realtor here. And so what that means to me is this lady is like semi-retired. She probably has a husband that has been successful in some other career, and she doesn't really need to make a lot of money to survive, but she collects a few deals here and there, and she gets, her friends from her homeowners association and things like that to know that she's a realtor, and she sells a few houses a year and makes that $30,000-$40,000. But all the while, it takes away income for people who really need it, like myself, who end up, taking this on as a real full-time career and are looking to go gung-ho and just make as much money as possible, only to realize that the average income is only $32,000 a year. If I would have known that information, first of all, when I first started in real estate, I probably would have chose a different career. I ended up sticking with real estate mainly because of the fact that I knew it was something I could do to run my own business and be self-employed and not have a regular 9-to-5 job. And that was really appealing for me at the time. I was actually 20 years old when I got my real estate license, and I really just didn't want to go along with the norm. I could never hold a job. Between the time I was like 16 years old and 20, I literally had like 15 different jobs, guys. I was always in and out of jobs, looking for a job that paid better. I didn't get along with the management, whatever it ended up being. I ended up getting fired, it ended up quitting, all kinds of crazy stuff, okay? So I needed to do something where I could be on my own and I would have the incentive to really make sure I did well, because I would be earning every single penny that I'm earning for the company, right? Versus when you work at a place and they pay you by the hour or a salary, there's no real incentive for you to make sure the business succeeds. Other than that, you just don't lose your job. Now, finally getting to this part about being different that I said I wanted to get to. Can you still do this for a living here in 2020? Yeah, I guess so. Would I advise you to do it? Probably not. And I'm not even saying because I don't want you to take a piece of my pie or whatever. Like, I've been doing this for so long that the clients that do really like me and would never give a deal to anybody else besides me, they still call me every single time, and I have my base of clients, so that's great. But I'm kind of at the point where I don't really want to do this anymore, because it's been a very long, tough road. It hasn't been nearly as successful as I thought it was going to be, and I'm really enjoying making these YouTube videos far more than I ever enjoyed doing any real estate deal. And there's so many less headaches that come along with this that I could see myself doing this now for a very long time, because this is fun and I see the potential for me to earn a lot more money doing this than I ever did making real estate sales. Let's just say you still want to be a real estate agent here in Florida, so how can you be different? There's plenty of things you can do, like with the internet, as far as paying for leads and advertising and all of that kind of stuff, but I've done all of these things, guys. And the number one thing I would tell you to do if you were going to start this career from scratch right now is I would tell you to make sure you have the personality that it requires to be a successful realtor, that you are willing to go do that schmoozing almost every single day, every single weekend, and you're gonna be staying in touch with people constantly, because staying in touch is so important. You have to remind people that you are a realtor all the time and that you are hungry for the deal. And you also have to make them realize that you're an honest person too, and they can trust you to do one of the biggest transactions that they're ever going to have to trust anybody with. Let's face it, selling a house is a big deal, and most people will only do it a few times in their entire life. So they want someone they can really trust to do the deal with, and they're not going to trust some amateur or somebody who seems like a sleazy car salesman. That's not it. So if you want to be different, the only way I can suggest that you stand out is you have to be out there. And what I mean by out there is shaking hands, giving business cards, making phone calls, going to networking events, going to bars, restaurants, whatever, and just talking to random strangers. That's what I would advise you to do to be different, because that way you're always going to be meeting new people who could potentially become a client one day, and the more people you have who could be potential clients, the more people you'll end up getting as actual clients. A lot of the common advice out there right now is to have a great social media page or a great website or do the right advertising and all of this. And in my own personal experience, none of that stuff is worth anything. In fact, it's all just going to drain your wallet, okay? Websites cost money. Advertising costs money. Running a social media page doesn't cost money, that's free, but it does cost your time. And some agents even pay other companies to do that because they don't have the time. But personally, I have found that most of that stuff is a waste of time. It doesn't really bring in clients because everyone's doing it now. So that was a way to stand out 10 years ago when I first got into this, but not anymore. Everyone's doing it now. If you really want to stand out, I would say go back to the basics. That's what it takes to become a real estate agent. And that might not be the advice you wanted to hear, but it's the truth. And if you want to make more than $32,000 a year doing this, that's what you're going to have to do. And that's also why I really don't want to do it anymore. And I kind of feel bad saying this in one of these videos because you guys know and trust me as a real estate agent here and giving you all this advice. And I just want you to know that even though I don't really want to do this for a living anymore, I'm still always going to be interested in real estate because I'm still a real estate investor. So I still look at deals. I'm still going to be helping clients that I've worked with for a long time because they know me, they trust me, and they know they can count on me, and I don't like letting those people down. So I'm not giving up, but I'm just not interested in pursuing this as a long-term career. I don't see myself doing this into my 70s anymore. I see myself here on YouTube still talking to you. Because one thing I've learned about doing real estate all these years is I can be persistent and I can push through until the end for as long as it possibly takes. So if I could make it for 11 years in real estate, most of those years struggling, then I can certainly sit here in front of the camera making awesome videos for you guys about Florida and whatever else comes in the future. And I love the interaction on here. I love the support you guys have been giving me. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for watching my channel. So if you still haven't had enough, guys, and you want to hear more, I have plenty more videos for you to watch right over here, and I'll see you guys over there in that next video.